Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and today I'm doing a wrap up of the History Reading Challenge. I want to thank you all for joining. Uh, Thank you for making this a successful readathon. Thank all the people who did TBRs, all the people who on Twitter who interacted with us, me, Justin, and Emma on Twitter. Just want to thank you all for joining us and reading with us. And I want to thank all the people who joined my live stream. That was the very first live stream I ever did. I was nervous. I was reaching out to people who did live streams, asking them how how it worked, and it turned out pretty well. Some people asked if I'll be doing live streams in the future, and I think I will. So that's pretty fun. That's going to be pretty fun. Um, uh, Moving on. You see, I'm at a loss for words here, just because I'm excited that all you joined us for this readathon. But what did I read during this readathon? Because this is a wrap-up video. So I read Lakota America. That was an audiobook that I read. Really good. It seeks to enlighten the reader about the Lakotas and their place in American history. We don't talk a lot about the indigenous people in the United States and their role in history, besides white men came and forced them onto reservations. And that's really almost about it. And Thanksgiving. And we really don't talk about them on their own terms and trying to see it from like what it was like for them from their own point of view. And this seeks to show the Lakotas had a lot more control of their destiny than history makes it out, where you kind of just get the idea that they were just kind of at that point the colonists were so more advanced than they were, that they were just at the whim of the whatever the colonists were doing. So as they got pushed west, they basically just kind of either fell in line or died. And this one kind of shows them in a lot more different light, where they have a lot more agency about what's going on. Brian, I believe, asked if Brian from Bookish asked, do you think that the author perhaps overstated some of the things in this book about some of the impact that the Lakotas had? And it's highly possible that some things may have been overstated. I really don't know enough about Indian American, Native American, uh, uh, Native American American interactions, or British colonial, French colonial, Spanish interactions, to say whether or not their influence was overstated. But this definitely put it in a much bigger light. So the next book that I read The Daughters of George III, Sisters and Princesses. I will actually be doing a review for this book, but I liked it. It was a very, like when I've read English history, unless like it was the king or the queen who was ruling at the time, didn't really know much about the family. I think the only there are some exceptions to the rule. So like the War of the Roses, which the women play such a huge part in. I kind of know about their backstories and watching like historical dramas. But for this particular era with George III, who was the king of Britain, and you see him in Hamilton, the play, and he's the king of Britain during the American Revolution. I've always heard about him, but not really about his daughters at all. And so this book illuminates their lives and talks about how not only how their life was at court, but also dealing with a very uptight and mother that didn't want to let go of her daughters, and also a father who's going through bouts of mental illness. So bad, in fact, that his son has to take over for him, and that's where you get the Regency, named for the Regency era. So that was a pretty interesting book. I also was reading The Dead Are Rising. That book is about Malcolm X's about Malcolm X. It's a biography of Malcolm X. But the first couple chapters that I read is about his family, and I think I only read about 2 chapters in this book. But it was about his family and like his mother and father, and how they moved to Omaha, and like just before they moved to Omaha, there had just been like a huge race riot there, which I did not know. I think I may have heard about it, but I didn't really have much context in terms of how it affected Malcolm X's life. But I found out his parents were very involved in the civil rights movement. They were very involved in the Marcus Garvey part of the movement, which kind of was at odds with NAACP at the time, which was which Du Bois was really associated with. So that was something I didn't know before. So that was really good learning about that. And this book is really well written so far. This book actually comes out on the 29th, I believe, of September. So you'll definitely see a review of this book coming out soon. Also, I read The Habsburgs. So The Habsburgs is basically about the Habsburgs. I put a review out for this book already, since it just came out. But yeah, it was about their family, how, you know, they go from the small noble family to being like the family that the heirs of the Holy Roman Empire are chosen from, because they elected their emperors, and how, like, at one time they had, like, you know, they controlled the New World, the Spanish possessions in the New World, even got as far as Taiwan, which I had no idea. And they said that the impact in Taiwan actually is still, their impact there is actually still felt there, with the demographics that changed when they arrived and set up a trading post there. So their influence is felt. Basically talked about how their influence was felt in the world then, how it's still felt today. You can kind of see it in like some of the cultural achievements that they left behind. So this was a really interesting book. It was actually a bit more in depth than I thought it was going to be about the Habsburgs, because I wasn't really thinking I was going to get like some of the cultural things that they did, cultural accomplishments that they passed on. So that was a really good read. And then a book that was actually a surprise, but you've heard me talk about and see a couple videos, I guess, about this. I read The Stakes is High, Life After the American Dream by Michael Denzel Smith. This is more of a sociology, like a social book that is focused on sociology, I would say, than perhaps history, but it deals with contemporary history, I would say. And it kind of talks about the American dream from the point of history, and the fact that in the United States, a lot of what we believe as history is myth. It's a lot of myth making, and you know, the myths that we believe lead us to believe that our country is better than what it is, and blind us to the fact that there are things that need to be corrected. And that's because we believe the myths rather than actual history. And if we actually looked at actual history, when we looked at the United States today, we will be a lot less surprised at what we see and go, this is based in the natural progression of the ways things have been going. So this was actually a surprise read. It wasn't on my TBR. Publisher reached out to me and wanted to send me a copy, and so I read that in like one night. But yeah, so that was my reading, things I read during the history reading challenge. Like I said, it was really fun. I got to do my first live during this challenge, so that was great. And like I said, I'll probably be doing more lives in the future. And Emma was already talking about perhaps next year doing this again. So if I'm still around and the world is still around and not a complete mess, which we can all hope for, because I have a Christmas gift that I bought for myself for 2021. So that's me trying to believe that the world will be in the better place, and that I will be in a better place, and the world, hopefully, in 2021. So put down the deposit for that Christmas gift. So let's hope that I'll be able to see that Christmas gift next year, right? So that is it for the history reading time. How did your history reading challenge go? Like I said, I had a lot of fun, but let me know how yours went down in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReads28, on Instagram at Justin Ghost Reader, and on Goodreads. The link to that is down in the description box below. And I'll once again like to thank Justin and Emma for their companionship and help being good co-hosts during this reading challenge. And special shout out to Emma, who came up with the idea and allowed me to join. So with that, keep reading. History matters. Black Lives Matter.